Welcome to the Psychic Pinup podcast, the anything and everything spiritual podcast where we dive into hot topics, readings, viewer questions, and more. Thank you for tuning in. Now, sit back, relax, and let's dive right into it.
Hello, lovelies. Welcome back to the Anything and Everything Spiritual Podcast. I'm your host, Linda, the Psychic Pinup, and I'm very happy to have you here. I know it's been a while since I have put up a podcast episode, and I do apologize for that, but I don't apologize for that at the same time. Life gets in the way, I get busy, and somehow my podcasts seem to get pushed back a little bit with that. So I am back here now, making an effort, and hopefully I can knock out a few podcast episodes for this upcoming week. But please bear with me. I do everything with good intention, you know that. Today I would like to bring up a topic that has been playing on my mind for the last couple of months, and I've just been pondering with how to structure the podcast in my mind. And procrastination, I always talk about procrastination. Is it a case of procrastination? It could be, but at the same time, I know that I get drip-fed information and downloads from Spirit when it is relevant, or when I need to be doing a podcast or speaking up or doing a post. So I'm sure you understand where I'm coming from with that. But anyway, the topic I would like to talk to you today about is when spirituality becomes toxic. Light and love, or bypass an ego? Which is it? We're going to talk about the darker side of spirituality. Yep. The side that doesn't always get mentioned in the love and light, in quotes, world. Because while spirituality can be beautiful, empowering, and transformative, it can also get twisted into something toxic. And I am coming from a place of experience here. I've been doing this work for a number of years now, and I have seen a lot of things in my lifetime, not just with the work that I'm doing, but in my past life, in my other jobs that I used to have, and it has carried over into the work that I do today. Let's dive into toxic positivity. We've all heard that buzzword, haven't we, lately? That gets thrown around, toxic positivity. Spiritual bypassing, that is another buzzword that I'm finding is making its rounds around social media. Cult-like gurus. Yes, there's many of them on social media that somehow finds into our news feed. And that all too common phase, again in inverted commas, just raise your vibration. Is this really helping? Or is it really dismissing our real struggles? And I talk about the struggles as a human being. So let's look at it this way. What healthy spirituality looks like? What does it look like? Is it supposed to be light and love the whole time? I don't think so. Because at its heart, spirituality is about connection. Connection to yourself, to others, to something greater. It's about growth, healing, and becoming more authentically you. But when denial, ego, or exploitation sneaks in, spirituality can lose its grounding instead of helping people heal. It can shame them for simply being human. Think about it that way. Me personally, I feel we need to have grief. We need to have disappointments. We need to have sadness in order to grow and to learn. That's all about spirituality. I'll get into a little bit more of that later on. I'm just going to quickly touch on this whole toxic positivity and the love and light trap also. How many times do we hear all of that? Who goes to spiritual fairs, psychic expos? Who goes to those? And everybody's walking around with big smiles on their faces. Light and love, raise your vibration. I feel like saying, give me a fucking break. Really. Really, really, really. Sorry, you're on my podcast. I'm authentic. I'll tell you the way it is, guys. So how many times have we heard it? Keep it high. Keep it high. Keep your vibe high only. Don't focus on the negative. Just light and love, babe. I'm sure you can all relate to that. I know I can. And I know I've been guilty for saying that as well. But here's the problem. When we're told to only focus on the positive, I feel it actually creates pressure to pretend. I have my own issues going on in my life. I'm not all about light and love the whole time, guys. I'm very positive. I do see the positive side of a lot of things, but at the same time, I'm human. And if I'm having a shitty day, I'm having a shitty day, and it's okay for you to have a shitty day also. In other words, it's okay. You do not need to pretend that you are vibing high, loves. Okay? For me, this pressure to pretend, it's not validating your emotions. It's telling people that grief, anger, or fear are not welcome. And yet, those emotions are part of the human experience. So for real healing to occur, it means that you need to feel the whole spectrum, not just painting everything over with glitter and rainbows. I'm sick of seeing bloody glitter and rainbows and everything's beautiful and kumbaya and let's spread the love. Okay, let's get real here. I want to now talk about spiritual bypassing. This is a big one. The term spiritual bypassing. My understanding is that it's the meaning when people use spiritual ideas to avoid dealing with the real issue. I'll give you some examples of phrases here. Everything happens for a reason. You must have manifested this. Just think positive and it will go away. Yes, sometimes those words are real comforting, but often they silence the real pain. They dismiss the trauma. They tell people to ignore their shadow instead of facing it. And the truth is, you can't heal what you refuse to acknowledge. Think about that one. Now, I am one of these people that uses the term everything happens for a reason. And I do wholeheartedly believe that everything does happen for a reason. It's our timeline, our paths that we are on. However, it doesn't mean that a person's emotions and feelings need to be dismissed because of it. Think about it next time when somebody comes to you with a problem or they want to offload, and think about your words that you use to people. Everything happens for a reason. Okay, instead of saying that, maybe pull back a little bit and pull apart why they are feeling the way that they are feeling. Why are these things happening? But again, it's so many rabbit holes that we can go down with this, as a lot of things that are presented to us, situations, scenarios, it's all part of our growth and part of our healing. And sometimes people, again, don't want to face the shadow side to work with this. And I'll go back to saying the truth is, you can't heal what you refuse to acknowledge. So maybe it's a case of guiding people to facing what they need to acknowledge, instead of maybe being a little bit dismissive. Sometimes though, these phrases can come across as dismissive, and you are dismissing somebody's emotions and feelings. This now brings me into cult-like gurus and exploitation. How many times do we see these people that are living the life on social media? They've got thousands and thousands of dollars. They're throwing money around, and I'm living this life, and look at my beautiful car, and look at my beautiful house, and I got all this because I believe, and I've manifested this, and you can too, but buy my program. Give me a fucking break again. Come on. Excuse the French, I really shouldn't be using the F word, but I'm seeing this a lot lately popping up. And again, for me, it doesn't sit with me. It actually gives me the heebie-jeebies with seeing what's going around on social media. Where do I even start with that? I will give it that there are some amazing spiritual teachers out there. There are. But I'm going to say this. I have to say this. There's also these gurus, influencers, and so-called leaders who use their fear, money, control to build their little empires, and that's all it's for. That's all it's for. So every time you see one of these things being splashed over social media, and you can have this life too, please, guys, just think twice before you go clicking any buttons to contact and inquire further. Okay? Red flags. What red flags to look out for? You know, people who say they are the only truth. These people that say that they are authentic. These people say that I know, only I know, I have these special powers. Me, 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 me. See the common pattern there? Me, I. Have any of you ever questioned these influencers, gurus, spiritual leaders? Has anybody questioned? By all means, I encourage you, ask questions. You're well within your right to ask questions. Okay? This is the test also. If questioning them gets you shamed or pushed out, there's your answer there. Another red flag. If their whole business model is about creating dependency, so you need their course, their community, their approval, again, think about that. Is that a red flag? I think so. In my opinion, true spiritual guidance empowers you. It doesn't chain you to somebody else's pedestal. You're just as spiritual as these gurus, influencers, spiritual leaders. We are all one. Remember that. We are all one. We all have this in us. My challenge to you is to go within and seek the answers yourself. This now leads me into ego disguised as spirit. Let's talk about the ego. I did a podcast a couple of weeks ago with my beautiful soul sisters, the 4 pillars of light, based around ego and spirituality, and we are all in agreement on the same page with the ego that it's not dirty. It's not a dirty word. We all need the ego. It's there to protect us. But sometimes we can let the ego take over. Ego can sneak into spirituality in sneaky ways, and I'm sure you have seen it. I have seen it a lot in the industry that I do work in here, with a lot of other quote unquote light workers. Terms such as "I'm more awakened than you" attitude. Again, give me a break. You know, who made you the authority on you being more awakened than somebody else? Okay. Well, here's one. I've heard this one. I've reached the 12th dimension consciousness, so I'm more evolved. I know more. Again, give me a break, guys. We're all on this journey together. We are all one. We are all here to experience. And some of us may be at different points in our journey, but it does not make you the authority, nor does it make you better. For my beautiful listeners out there, I just want you to sit with that. How many times do you hear from healers the just raise your vibration attitude? Okay. How? How do you tell somebody, raise your vibration, and then leave them? Just raise your vibration. Yes, raising your energy, taking care of your mindset, these things matter. Yes, they do matter. But telling somebody to just raise their vibration when they're struggling with grief, trauma, or mental health, that's dismissive. It is dismissive. You can't positive think your way out of deep wounds. Healing isn't about denial. Okay, we're putting a band-aid on this here. It's about integration. It's about facing the shadow and embracing the light. Experiencing grief and trauma. There is no time frame of how long you should be doing this for. And telling somebody to just raise your vibration, then what? And how are you supposed to do that? Again, we're human. We are here to feel. So I'm going to go into the keeping spirituality real. This is real. How do we keep spirituality healthy, grounded? And I'm going to say this, it's by allowing yourself to feel everything, the joy and the grief. It's not just about high vibing the whole time. That is not spirituality. Practice discernment also. And I mean this by when you are looking into a mentor or a teacher. Ask yourself, does this teacher, facilitator, instructor, whichever word you would like to use, empower me or make me feel dependent? So does your teacher empower you, or are they making you feel dependent on them? So you can't move forward. You still have that feeling of not being confident without their approval. You've got to be with them the whole time. Think about that one. We also need to keep spirituality healthy and grounded and real by staying humble and staying human. It's that simple. And remember, the most powerful thing you can do is to live authentically, not perfectly. You are allowed to be angry. You are allowed to be sad. You are allowed to have these, what we consider in the spiritual world, low vibrational emotions. That's okay. It's all part of life. It is part of healing. And it is about being authentic as well. So, my lovelies, spirituality can be a powerful tool for healing and growth. But it can also become a trap when we use it to avoid, to control, or to elevate ourselves above others. I'm no better than anybody else, nor is anybody any better than me. Look, love and light absolutely has its place, but so does shadow and truth. I don't hear people walking around saying shadow and truth to you. We all hear light and love to you. I might start saying that, shadow and truth to you. How's that? I might make that the new tagline. And when we honour both, that's when real transformation happens. So before I wrap up today's episode, I want to leave you with some reflection prompts to sit with. Maybe to journal them, voice note them, or just simply think about them. Think about this. Have I ever dismissed my own pain or someone else's by saying, it's all light and love? Another thing to reflect on. Where in my life might I be using spirituality to bypass something uncomfortable? What red flags would help me spot a guru, teacher, or community that isn't aligned with my truth? How can I balance honouring both my light and my shadow in daily life? You don't have to have answers for these straight away. Take your time. Sometimes the answers reveal more than what we expect. Actually, what I will do, I will put these questions on my website, www.thepsychicpinup.com.au. There's a section there, podcast, pull down menu. I will pop it in there and you'll be able to download those questions if you would like them for your journal or for some prompting. So I think that pretty much wraps up my little episode. I didn't expect to go down that rabbit hole. I usually don't know what I'm talking about until I put on my record and off I go. I have a general idea, but then it just takes over. Obviously, Spirit's giving me this information. So I would like to thank you so much for tuning into today's episode of the Anything and Everything Spiritual podcast. If this episode resonated with you, please share it, leave a review, or tag me on socials. I love hearing your thoughts and seeing these conversations ripple out into the world. Until next time, stay grounded, stay real, and remember, spirituality isn't about perfection. It's about truth. Thank you. See you next time. Bye.
You have been listening to Linda, the Psychic Pinup. Linda is a psychic medium based on the New South Wales south coast of Australia. You can connect with her via her website, thepsychicpinup.com.au, or join her on her weekly live feeds on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube, all under the same name, The Psychic Pinup. Thanks for listening.